Hey, how's it going, Roman?
Pretty good, Graham. How are you, man?
Doing great, dude. Obviously, this past Saturday, we found out the locations for the next three WrestleMania events, including WrestleMania 37 in Tampa coming up in April, two-night event this year. How much does it mean to you to have WrestleMania back in your backyard of Tampa, especially in the midst of one of your biggest runs so far and after it had to be bumped from Tampa last year?
It means a lot. I think one of the biggest things about WrestleMania and WWE is the relationship that we have with the individual communities, that we locate in. So it was really tough for us to miss it this past year in Tampa. I think, I obviously didn't perform, but I know it takes a great, you know, it takes a pretty big effect on the talent and the company when there isn't a stadium involved, packed full of fans, a week long of events and interaction with the fans. I think that's what makes it so special. And this year it's still been in a pandemic. It's going to be what it is. It's we have to definitely stay safe, but to be back in Tampa and to be able to kind of get it done this year and have that opportunity to be able to be hosted by Tampa Bay and use the Buck Stadium. I think it's really neat. So hopefully we can and we'll find this out I think in the weeks to come. Hopefully we'll be able to get some kind of an attendance, whether it's following the same kind of protocols the NFL or any other sports league, but hopefully we'll be able to get some fans in there and keep everybody very safe. That's always the most important thing.
For sure.
And obviously follow all the protocols, but it'll be really nice to kind of blow out WrestleMania again and make it big and special.
Yeah, no, unless anything changes, this is going to be the first WWE show with fans in at least over a year since I think early March of 2020, which is crazy. After almost a decade, you've had such a rich history at WrestleMania from facing, legends such as Taker, Brock Lesnar, Triple H. Do you have any one favorite WrestleMania match that you've had to date, or at least one that meant the most to you?
And, I've had a lot of awesome opportunities and experiences at Mania. Probably would go back, I think my first one with my first main event with Brock would probably be my favorite. I probably wouldn't want to go do it again. It was
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah.
I was a much younger man back then. But yeah, I mean, to me, that match was an instant classic. Unlike, really any other type of sports entertainment match. It was, I think if you're like a grown man and you're really on the fence about wrestling and you're like, man, I don't know. It's like choreographed. It's like soap opera stuff, right? I would suggest you go watch that match and be like, yeah, no, it just depends who's doing it. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of, something for everybody. And I think the physicality that Brock and myself brought to the stadium that night, it's hard to match that, especially, from a full-time perspective. That's why they call it WrestleMania, is because the biggest matches happen, the biggest moments, in the biggest stadiums in front of the biggest crowds. So it's, they're all special. Triple H, Undertaker. I mean, they're all great, and the matches we had at the Shield, and even coming back against Drew McIntyre after taking some time off to handle my health. That was very special too. But there's something very special about WrestleMania 31 in Santa Clara, and I was in the Niners Stadium, so that kind of just was the cherry on top.
Yeah, no, that match was magical. From the circumstances, the atmosphere, to the execution, everything about it was near perfect. Just a great match. Going into this year's WrestleMania, obviously the current reigning Universal Champion, I think what makes your current story and character so special is that you have a lot of people gunning for you right now. Obviously, you're facing Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Adam Pearce has an issue with you. We have Daniel Bryan, Big E. I mean, you've mentioned even CM Punk in the past if he were to ever come back to the company. Is there any one person you're eyeing as your opponent, your ultimate dream opponent for WrestleMania 37 this year?
Nah. I mean, it's almost like a Mr. Olympia bodybuilder at this point. Where it's like I don't even look at anybody else on stage. I'm just competing with myself. You know what I mean? Like at this point, like you said, everybody's gunning for me, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm gunning, to better myself every single day, whether it's, the time I have on camera or the time that I'm alone in my gym grinding it out. For me, obviously it takes some really good dance partners and some great competition and some good opponents. But I just feel like for me to capitalize on my potential, I have to be fully focused. As long as I am fully focused and I'm all in and I am, connected to what I'm doing and I'm in the skin of this Roman Reigns character, this head of the table character, I don't feel anybody can touch me. That's how laser focused I am when I step in, into my element on Fridays or Sundays, what have you. And it's because of all week long, all month long, all year long, for years now. I mean, I've always been this way. You don't turn this job off. But I'm finally getting to the point where all the equity, all the sweat and tears, they're all adding up, and it's all just kind of just coming to fruition right now. It's just happening, and it's just natural and organic. But yeah, man, that's the island of relevancy. You know what I mean? It don't matter who. Give me another half of a tag team. Put Apollo Crews in the ring with me. It don't matter who it is at this point. I'm gonna make them special because
Definitely.
that's how committed and that's how that's how much belief I have in what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's even to the point where a couple of months ago, you didn't call out The Rock. The Rock called out you for a match at some point. Maybe not at WrestleMania this year, maybe at some point down the road. I know Mania is coming to Hollywood. They announced that a couple days ago for WrestleMania 39, I think it is, in 2 years. So you never know. And that's a match I think a lot of people have wanted to see for a long time now. But do you think if that match were to happen, Roman versus Rock, maybe obviously not again at WrestleMania this year, but at some point down the road, with your current character, do you think it would matter more for that match to happen now? It makes more sense than if it happened, say 4, 5, 6 years ago?
I think so. I think, we're cut from a very similar cloth when it comes to just progression and getting better. And I think, he'd have very similar answers in how his grind is and sticking to the drill of what he does. I mean, I'm sure you can go on his social media and he's in the gym right now, and,
Yeah.
and that's just, I think, a reflection of our bloodline and our, family ties and just what was instilled upon us to, handle, this type of responsibility of representing, a family, representing yourself and the seriousness that it takes. But yeah, I think, I'd like to definitely think that I'm just continually getting better, and I think it's proven with him. He seems to be immortal when it comes to age, and he doesn't ever slow down. So I definitely think, as the years go on, and it's a little different because he's out the ring, and that does take an effect when you're not in that ring often. It's not quite like a bike. It's you don't just start pedaling again. You got to kind of get your feet wet a little bit, but he keeps himself in great shape. So I think if anybody can handle it as they're getting a little bit older, he's definitely the guy. The way he takes care of himself, his nutrition, his training, and just how active he is too. I think his schedule, sometimes when you're that busy, it keeps you young because you're just going. So yeah, I think we're definitely both, I know for myself within the ring, within sports entertainment, every single week, I feel like I'm getting better. So I definitely think that matchup benefits with, more experience and a little more time.
For sure. So you come back at SummerSlam. You are on SmackDown the next week. You align yourself with Paul Heyman, or Paul Heyman rather aligns himself with you. You win the Universal Championship 2 days later. You make your first SmackDown appearance the week after that, cutting your first promo with this new character. And I think a lot of people were expecting, oh, he's going to go off on the audience after all the years of backlash, blah, blah, blah. But you took the character in a totally different direction, which arguably worked out even better. And you're still doing that now, which is awesome. Was that a conscious decision on your part, Heyman's part, whoever, to not go down that obvious path of, oh, you're the people that booed me for all these years, blah, 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 and just instead do something completely different as the head of the table?
Yeah, well, like the you all promo. Like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So for me, I just want to do something a little different, and a lot of times the position that I'm in, it's a superhero, Superman character. It's a guy who just, can't be stopped, won't be denied. Always, he's always having a great day. Like Cena, it was like he's in the best mood all the time. It's happy-go-lucky character.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different this day and age. It's not like, when Stone Cold or even, Dwayne were on top, the internet wasn't such a large tool for communication. It was still kind of, finding its way. Now it's all day long. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to go get some negativity, it's not a problem. And
Yeah.
some positive stuff too. All you gotta do is just log in and check out your Twitter feed or
Yep.
go to YouTube or Instagram. I mean, there's a lot of toxic stuff out there. So to me, that was like the obvious way, and that's one thing I don't want to do is like you won't ever hear me cut a promo and it's like, well, it sounds like he just read Twitter and started using a bunch of their lines. You know what I mean? Like that was, I wanted to be more creative than that, but I wanted to also add a level of realism and I guess, a little bit of shoot, so to speak.
Sure.
To where people and our hardcore fans and the people who, live and breathe off of professional wrestling and sports entertainment can really sink their teeth in it. And I just, to me, what better way than to show this top of the mountain perspective in a different light? What would be a more unique way than to blame the fans or to blame the circumstances, the lifestyle, the responsibilities, the accountabilities, the burden of being on top. So I just thought that would have been, a far more original story thread to go off of. And at the same time, there's nobody in the crowd right now. I'm not going to just, I'm not going to yell at a bunch of, video screens. Which leaves some options for when we get some fans back in attendance. So, that'll be a real nice kind of, a live mic ad-libbing situation, is to be able to go off on the fans every once in a while to play with the house a little bit, which I think in terms that interaction is always created a fun environment. So, but yeah, for me, I just wanted to be able to create a dynamic character that our fans that have loved, wrestling their whole lives could really, sink their teeth in and be like, whoa, man, I don't know if he's talking for real. Like, I don't know if this is Joe or I'm not sure if this is real, so I wanted to be able to really toe that line and stretch the imagination of what this character is and what he goes through in a day-to-day and where he is mentally and the stresses that it takes and how it affects him and is he bending or is he breaking? I just wanted to be able to tap into all these different emotions and take our audience on the ride. So it's been fun.
Where did the head of the table slogan come from, as well as the tribal chief nickname now?
Man, I just came up with that. So that night that I Superman punched Jay on the stage and yelled that and cut that like screaming promo in his face. I came up with that it was just a line, like a moniker I came up with right before, whenever I was, kind of getting in my head what I wanted, what's the message? I try not to be, too detailed. I just need to know what I'm supposed to feel out there and what I'm supposed to connect to. And then I have to let it naturally happen. You know what I mean? If I'm thinking about lines and trying to memorize stuff, it just doesn't, man, it's like stressful to me. It's never worked for me that way. But if I can think about what I'm supposed to be emotionally feeling or like put myself in the real scenario of this is, okay, you are this guy right now, and this is how you would be, this is how you would be feeling, and this is what you're trying to achieve. What's the message? What am I trying to get across? What kind of emotion or, what am I trying to get the audience to understand? and it just came to me.
What about the guillotine finisher? I know you debuted that in that match with Braun soon after that, and it's now kind of like an alternate submission finisher for you.
I've been wanting to use that for years.
Yeah.
And man, it just seemed like, and it's no one to blame. This is just the process of, the creative,
Sure.
The creative process where it's like, man, what if I just pulled out a submission? I've been saying that for years. Like, well, everybody knows the spear. And so it's just like, the producers that I work with all the way up to the head man, like, I think the finish will be better with a spear, and it was great because for years we built that spear up. So, and even till today, we've kind of manipulated it a bit over the past few months. But nobody's going to be like, I can't believe he lost to that spear. You know what I mean? Like if I win with that spear, people are going to like, yeah, he won with the spear. It's all good. Mm-hmm. But man, I just anytime I thoroughly enjoy watching MMA, especially over the pandemic. I just feel like UFC has been on TV far more, for whatever reason, I don't know, but I've just gotten into it over the past couple of years. And it just seems like every single card, somebody wins with a guillotine. So, and it's like the most simple, it's the simplest move, the simplest submission ever. You just click it in there and squeeze and wrench back, you know what I mean? And, there's going to be a lot of different ways to go in and out of it, all the different, ways to sink it in, to get into it, to counter it. So it just made sense, and nobody was really using it. And, really, I'm at the point where if I want to use something, it doesn't matter who's using it. I'll just use it anyways. But yeah, the submission was something I just wanted to do for quite some time. So I finally just pulled the trigger on it.
I'm sure you get asked this a million times on Twitter, but is there any update you can provide on a new entrance theme that might be coming at some point to kind of complete the character's evolution that you're doing right now?
Yeah, we're working on it. I'll just say that we're working on it. It's not easy because I'm not going to just, I think with this character, it's got to be the right vibe. I can't just we can't just hire a rapper and we can't just check out this guitar riff. You know what I mean? It can't just be some rock music. Mm-hmm. The Shield music, I wasn't really even into it back in the day, but it was just over the years, it just started working. And you just get so used to something that you kind of just I just kind of time my pace to it. But yeah, it takes some time and it's got to be right in order to go away from something that you've had for so long and that's so recognizable.
Yeah.
In the music that I have now, it's got to be perfect. So it just takes some time, but we're definitely working on it. So please be patient.
No, that makes sense. It's going to be worth it when we eventually hear it. You mentioned the Shield. How often do you keep in contact with Seth, John, Dean, whatever? I know obviously Seth's on SmackDown with you now. He's been taking some time off to be a father. How often do you keep in contact with those guys?
We talk here and there. I think especially, with Seth having a new baby and stuff. And then I have so many kids. Like it's funny because they're just now getting their first ones. I got 5 kids, man. Yeah. I got a legitimate household here. So I think our time, I don't have any time to spare. If I'm not, deeply involved in parenting, I'm in the gym or I'm, working within the creative process of wrestling. But yeah, I mean, probably I texted Seth a couple weeks ago. We were texting back and forth here and there. Me and John, we text a little more sporadically. But yeah, so those guys, I mean, I think it was pretty out there anyways that me and Mox were super tight. We traveled together even when we split up and stuff. I mean, we were drinking buddies the whole night. I mean, I've had a lot of cool moments with Mox. But I probably talk to Seth a little more than I talk to Mox right now. And, he's off doing his thing. I think probably when I found out that he was having the baby was when I texted him when I found out they were pregnant. And it was funny, man. He was like, what the heck am I supposed to do? It's simple, man. You feed him, you change him, you love him. That's it. And he just texts back you make it sound so simple. But yeah. But yeah, we're also busy, and Seth's had his time off. So I think anytime, anyone in our line of work has some time off, you want to give them that time to just completely indulge in the family. So I'm happy for those guys, and hopefully John and Renee will pop that baby out quick, and we'll have another little Shield guy in the mix.
That's perfect. Final question for you, Roman. After appearing in Hobbs and Shaw and The Wrong Missy just last year, any more aspirations to do acting in the future?
Yeah, I definitely think so. For me, they have to, align themselves with my schedule. That's kind of the hardest part now. Yeah. Is you can't I'm going to jump out and just do this, cameo for a couple of days, because even if you are only on set for a day or two, you have to go through the quarantine process. You have to get tested and, be in a isolation situation for a few days, all the way up to 10 days, I've heard, for some stuff, depending on the studio and the project, all the way from, another isolation period after you're done. And, we're a weekly product. So, I'm working every Friday, and I don't feel comfortable, taking away from my commitment to WWE at this point. But I definitely enjoy the process of the big screen, of acting, of, creating and diving into a new character. So it's something, I'm not going to be able to fall down my whole life. So when it gets to the point where I need to really take care of my body, and really start counting those bumps, that's a really cool form of entertainment, and a different, form of performing arts that I feel like I am capable of diving into, and, having, hopefully some kind of future at it. But I would definitely love to be able to do something as big as Hobbs and Shaw. It's tough when that's your first one, Hobbs and Shaw, what I mean, with the biggest star in the world, anchoring that thing. So you don't want to just do anything at that point. So I want to be very smart and calculated about it. But I'm also enjoying what I'm doing in the ring. I enjoy, working with Fox and being on SmackDown. So, no complaints. It's just all good stuff at this point.
Fantastic. Well, WrestleMania 37 coming up in Tampa on Saturday, April 10th, and Sunday the 11th. It's going to be awesome. The Tribal Chief, obviously, going to be a big part of it coming WrestleMania, so it's going to be awesome. Thanks so much for the time, Roman. Absolutely loving your work right now. I appreciate the time, my man.
I appreciate it, Graham. Thank you, man, for having me.